such a session. Chair, it is not true that there is no fruitless and wasteful expenditure in the NYDA, because the Auditor General came before us and said that there is 71 million rand which they flagged. And just because the NYDA is opposing that flagging of the AG doesn't mean that that particular flagging falls away. The AG has said to us they've escalated the matter to the Treasury. And I mean, we deal with these things all the time. We know even in municipalities, when the AG says to a municipality that there's fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and then the CFO wants to contest the outcomes of the AG report, and there are processes that would go. So it's a lie that there's no fruitless and wasteful expenditure. There is 71 million rands that the Auditor General of South Africa cannot account for in terms of the last financial year of the NYDA is there. And they have told us that they've written to the National Treasury, and we're also going to write to the National Treasury because we want to get to the bottom of that. So I've thought that it's very important to clear that, because there were some members who were trying to create an impression that there is no wasteful or fruitless expenditure in the NYDA. It's there. It's 71 million rands. And on top of that, there is 1 million rands. There was a member that raised it here, and I don't understand why the minister wants to be defensive about this point. 1 million rand spent on a trip to New York. Why must the chair and the deputy chair of the NYDA take 3 or 4 or 5 staff members? If really this is a bilateral way they must interact with people that they want to partner with, why must they have someone to carry the water, someone to carry the bag, and another person to carry the cell phone? Why can't the chair go alone? Or why can't the deputy chair go alone? Spending 1 million rand traveling to New York when so many young businesses are struggling in South Africa, when we've got so many unemployed youth in South Africa, when we've got so many people who are still crying to us as members of parliament, saying we keep writing to the NYDA, they are not responding to us. We keep submitting to the NYDA, they are not responding to us. But the NYDA has the luxury to spend millions of rand traveling overseas and bringing 2 or 3 or 4 staff members. The explanation from the minister simply does not stand. It's indefensible. It's nothing that can be defended by anyone. In fact, we expect the minister to call out the NYDA and say, these are not the things that you should be focusing on. Because the next question we're going to ask is, what are the timelines of these so-called partnerships? We've heard of these partnerships before. This is not the first board of the NYDA that we're interacting with. We've interacted with many other boards of the NYDA. And there is always talk of partnerships. Hey, we've signed the MOU. Hey, we've signed a partnership of this. 1,000 young people are going to be trained. And those things never materialize. So part of my written question to the NYDA, as I said, Chair, some of these questions I'm going to write to them, and I ask that the committee submits to them, is that what are the timelines of these so-called partnerships that they claim to have gotten into as a result of this trip of 1 million rand? When we look at the expenditure, I'm dealing with expenses here. Honorable Kanyela asked a really good question about the amounts. The amounts are there in the report they sent us. I just don't know why they didn't flag them in this meeting. 1.4 million rand spent on an NSFAS partnership in Nkandla outreach program. I do so many NSFAS outreach programs, by the way, and I don't even spend 5,000. I take my laptop, I organize some EFF Youth Command SRC presidents across the country. I take them to a community. We open a gazebo of the EFF, we put down a table, we open our 5 laptops, and we call high school learners to come and we assist them to apply for NSFAS. 1.4 million rands on one program. And we're told that partnered with NSFAS, connected with young people with information on available opportunities. Giving people information cost the NYDA 1.4 million rands. 1.2 million rands on a pre-SONA presidential youth engagement in Khayelitsha. Chair, I can even send you some of the pictures of that program. In fact, President Cyril Ramaphosa didn't even attend that particular program. There were hardly people in that particular venue. And one would ask the question, what would the 1.2 million rands be for that particular program? Now, I'm just naming a few. There's another one here, 900,000 on back-to-school campaigns. The deputy chair as well spent 646,000 on an indaba. Now, these are just a few. There are many of them. They are here in the reports. The NYDA doesn't seem to be spending money in impacting directly the lives of young people in South Africa. Instead, it spends money on these superficial programs, giving out information of NSFAS, handing out pamphlets. How can handing out pamphlets cost 1.4 million rands? It's totally unacceptable. And you were quite right, Chair, when you were opening the meeting, when you said, for the first time probably in the history of this committee or this parliament, we had an NYDA board that was supported by all political parties. We know how it was so difficult to get this board to come in because there were many players, political players, who wanted to manipulate the processes and put in other people that the committee did not deem to have been with the right standard to form part of the NYDA. But this board came in supported by each and every political party, each and every member of this particular committee, but we are being disappointed each and every day. You can't tell me that it's a coincidence, Chair, that on the week leading up to the January 8th, the anniversary, the birthday celebration anniversary of the ANC is happening on Saturday. On Monday, in the same province, in the same region, there's an NYDA program. On Tuesday, there's an NYDA program. On Wednesday, there's an NYDA program. On Thursday, there's an NYDA program. And on Saturday, the ANC is celebrating its birthday. We must be made to believe that out of 9 provinces in South Africa, the NYDA that particular week, it just so happened that they will go to the Northwest and they will build up programs which happen to coincide with the birthday anniversary of the ANC. On top of that, each and every program is partnered either with the political leader of the ANC. If it's not the minister of the ANC, it's a deputy minister of the ANC. It's a president of the ANC Youth League. It's this. We were not children. We can't be persuaded otherwise. Like I said, this is not the first NYDA board that we've interacted with. The same thing happened last year with the last board. And we called it out, we problematized it when the ANC was celebrating its anniversary here in Khayelitsha. And the same thing happened. The ANC is celebrating on a Saturday. On Monday, the NYDA is all of a sudden in Khayelitsha. On Tuesday, the NYDA is in Khayelitsha. On Wednesday, the NYDA is in Khayelitsha. This board is repeating the exact same mistakes that we warned them about when we first met with them. We said, guys, we have got our full support. For the first time, we believe we've got a board that is not necessarily contaminated politically. None of you hold positions of leadership in political organizations. We feel that you've got a sense of independence. Of course, it's a free country, it's South Africa. You've got freedom of expression. We can't police which political party you decide to form part of. But at least we thought that there will be some level of impartiality. What happens? The first conference of the ANC Youth League comes. The whole chairperson of the NYDA board goes and gets elected as an additional member of the ANC Youth League. Why? Because our fight with the former chairperson of the NYDA board was that you cannot wear ANC regalia in a board meeting of the NYDA. Because even if it's unintended, even if you are doing it out of, it's an honest mistake, when a young person who votes for the IFP, or when a young person who belongs to the DA, or when a young person who does not belong to any political party for that matter, walks into the doors of the NYDA and finds the chairperson of the NYDA either wearing or belonging to a structure of the ANC or the ANC Youth League, immediately the message that is communicated to society is that this person is not here to serve me as a young person who does not belong to the ANC or the ANC Youth League. This person is here to further entrench the politics of the ANC, to campaign for the ANC and the ANC Youth League, and to take resources of the NYDA and redirect them in the direction of the ANC Youth League and the ANC programs. If I was the chair of the NYDA, of course we can't force it, we've got freedom of expression. If I was serious about doing right and saying, look, this was an oversight, this should not have happened, we're willing to start again on a clean slate, I would resign as an additional member of the ANC Youth League immediately and say, I am ready to serve all young people in South Africa, not a clique and an elite of a political party. So a lot, because of the nature of our engagement, Chair, I felt that these questions